If your partner's mood can ruin your whole day, if you feel like you're drowning in your own reactions most of the time, if you love someone deeply but their chaos is just pulling you under before you call it quits in the relationship, or if breaking up just isn't an option for you, try emotional detachment. Now, not detachment in the cold, careless way you might think of, but detachment as a daily act of love and compassion for yourself and for the relationship. Hi, gorgeous. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'd love for you to stick around and subscribe. My name is Mireille Nicole. I'm the creator of the Happily Ever After method, and I'm all about helping you tackle the tough stuff in love with grace and wisdom. Today, I'm going to walk you through what a day in the life looks like when I'm practicing my own emotional detachment. Not to pull away, but to show up better, softer, stronger, and more grounded in my love. This is going to be especially helpful to you if you consider yourself an empath like I do, or if you tend to have an anxious attachment style in love like me again, and or if your partner struggles with addiction, and even more especially if your partner tends to be moody, grumpy, or even depressed. I talk a lot about emotional detachment on my channel here. It's one of my favorite subjects, and I've described it in a few different ways, and here's another one. Emotional detachment means you stop making other people's emotions your problem or your job to fix them. And in this case, we're talking about your partner's problems or emotions. It's about showing up with love without absorbing your partner's pain, his chaos, his mood swings, his addiction, or his anxiety. You get to be supportive and compassionate without getting pulled down. And that's the difference here. And in my opinion, that's the most loving and respectful thing that you can do. And that last part is important because men, whether they know it consciously or not, desire and they need respect in a relationship. So how do you do it? You build it intentionally throughout your day. Now, let me say something before that's really important before we dive into the schedule or how to make it a daily intentional practice. You don't have to do all of this all of the time. This video isn't about perfection, it's about guidance. I always talk about how I encourage women to aim for 9 times out of 10. It's not about being perfect. I'm not perfect in my relationship despite knowing all these tools and these techniques. We're all human. But when you check in with your emotions throughout the day, and I highly recommend you do check in with your emotions throughout the day, let this be your toolkit, not necessarily a to-do list. And second, this work isn't about avoiding your emotions. Sometimes you just need to feel. Like if I'm having a moment where I want to cry about a past relationship, and I haven't done that recently, but I still did that for a long time. Or if I just want to be pouty for 10 minutes, I just let myself. I'll even, give myself a little timer and say, okay, we're going to feel this fully, and then we're going to move on and we're going to decide what we want to feel next. And that is emotional leadership, and that's ultimately the goal here. So detachment doesn't mean that you regulate yourself into numbness or not feeling anything or avoiding your feelings altogether. Good and bad emotions, they both serve a purpose in your life, but this is about honoring your feelings without giving them power, right? To completely dictate or destroy even your day. Okay, let's dive in. And another, by the way, you don't have to write all of this down. That's great if you have a piece of paper and a pen, but I created a free emotional detachment daily schedule that you can print out and keep handy. I'll put the link in the description below, or I'll pin it up in a comment. Okay, so first, I encourage you to set the tone in the morning. Start with an intention of some sort. And this doesn't have to take more than just a couple of minutes. If your morning is already crazy, you have kids, you have to get to work early, don't worry, you don't have to set, 30 minutes or even 10 minutes aside. Just do this for like even 30 seconds, just in your mind. Sometimes I'll do it when I'm even still lying in bed in the morning. So when I wake up and before I even, especially before I check my phone, I like to ask myself, like, how do I want to feel today? And again, this is emotional leadership. You get to decide, I choose peace today. I choose softness. And I don't say the word softness as weakness. I choose to be grounded. I choose grounded strength today. You don't wait for your partner's mood to tell you what kind of day you're going to have, or to let it determine if you're going to leave for work on a bad note or in a bad mood, or if you're going to be short or maybe patient, which is awesome, with the kids, right? Sure, things are going to pop up that are out of your control, but what you can control is how you think about these circumstances and what you decide to do next in your relationship and in life in general, right? The second thing you can do in the morning if something's already weighing on your heart is do a clearing practice. Now, this could be maybe, 10 minutes of meditation in the morning or journaling what's bothering you, or even doing something like the hardest thing on your to-do list, what Brian Tracy calls in his famous book, eating the frog first. And that's going to help you manage your emotions because you're not going to feel so stressed out about things. You're not going to be high strung and extra reactive to whatever pops up unexpectedly, or even just stretching with some calming yoga, right? Whatever resonates with you, it's really going to be unique to your circumstances. And the goal here is to start clean. So you want to avoid carrying yesterday into today, or especially not carrying something that's been building resentment in you for weeks or even months. And I hear so many women who have this built up resentment. And that used to be me, right? When I didn't know how to communicate my needs or my feelings in my relationship, and the relationship was getting really rocky. And so I was scared to rock the boat even more. But carrying resentment or any kind of negative emotion for too long is only going to play into the whole emotional attachment that you have and not build that connection, that deep emotional bond that you desire in your relationship, where it feels safe to have emotions, whether it's your partner having emotions or you having emotions. And finally, if your partner tends to be grumpy in the morning, check in with yourself and ask yourself, is this mine? And if not, let him be. I don't rescue, I don't take it personally. Yes, I might still get annoyed or slightly affected in some way, but sometimes the most supportive thing that you can do is give your partner space to feel what he feels without fixing it or without getting mad about it. Just recognizing that all emotions serve a purpose and they're all okay. Is just how you deal with them, how your partner deals with them, and also how you deal in reaction to that. Now, I'm not saying that this is easy or it's just going to happen overnight for you, but it does get better and it's worth making it a daily practice out of this. Okay, so moving on to daytime. So just anytime during the day, make sure you observe emotions, observe what's going on, and don't absorb. This is where the real work happens, moment by moment throughout the day. Your partner's annoyed? Notice it. Don't become it. Don't let it in. You can be curious and use effective communication skills in an effort to be supportive and a good listener. But again, say to yourself, you know what? That's theirs. You get to stay in your energy. Number two, when your own cup is full, it's a whole lot easier to detach emotionally. Are you carving out time for your own self-care? Ask yourself, what's something that I can give myself today? What is something I can do for myself, right now? And maybe that's a walk or calling a friend or just 10 minutes alone with some music or just something nourishing to you. For me, strengthening my relationships with my friends and journaling was a game changer when I was rock bottom in my relationship and completely enmeshed in my partner's emotions, because I've experienced all of this. I like to say all the time too, I share openly how both my husband and I were just really moody, emotional people. We're both water signs astrologically. And yes, I know there's more to it than just knowing that I'm Cancer, he's Scorpio, but it's just a reminder of how we really navigate strong emotions in our own world, and that does impact the dynamic, and we just have to be mindful and intentional about that. Okay, speaking of enmeshment, number three is to practice empathy without enmeshment. So if my partner upsets me, I start with empathy nowadays. I don't excuse his behavior, but I come to it from a place of understanding. He's in his own story, he's on his own journey in this life. And you know what? Most of the time, it's not about me. I just tend to be there a lot of the time because I am his partner and we're married. And that doesn't mean that you let him get away with it. I did a whole video on bad behavior. It's on my channel if you want to check it out. But remember, most of the time, you might be the one taking on the brunt of whatever's going on, but it's not personal. It may simply be related to the dynamic in your relationship. And usually that can be fixed with the right relational skills. And I also did a whole video on this next one, and it's about using the Let Them theory by Mel Robbins. I just recently read that book and I really enjoyed it. It's an easy read. And even though some of it might be obvious intellectually, like you might know these things, it's not always easy in practice. And in this case, we'll call it the let him theory. So let him be late, let him not text, let him cancel or forget, let him be messy. Let him show you who he is while you stay grounded and who you are. And then you get to decide what's next. That's the whole premise, pretty much, of the book. And finally, during the day, give yourself some mindfulness moments. This is what helps you respond instead of react and then build up resentment and frustration in your relationship. Throughout the day, I like to pause, just breathe. I like to feel my feet on the ground. And I remind myself, I am safe. I am okay. I don't have to react. These emotions are serving me. And I notice the beauty around me. And I appreciate something I like about myself. It sounds like super cheesy, but that's going to be your daytime practice. And you'll start noticing that just by being more grounded, you can really detach in a way that's loving, compassionate, and that helps you support your relationship from a place of power and strength. Now, let's talk about what you can do during the evening to close the loop on all of this. And this first one builds on the whole idea of mindfulness I just talked about. What can you be grateful for? No matter how the day went, ended by asking yourself, what can I be grateful for today? What happened that, really lit you up? And when things are rocky in your relationship, it's just easy to really fall into the trap of just noticing the negative all the time. And it even becomes difficult to see the positive intention behind your partner's actions or words. And it can be difficult to be grateful for like anything at that point when our emotions are just leading the show. Plus, evenings are a great time to do another clearing exercise. So you're not carrying today into tomorrow. So that you don't even have to do your clearing exercise in the morning, do it at night. I like to check, is anything, sitting heavy on my heart? Is there anything that I'm holding on to that's not serving me? And then I love to journal it out. I have so many journals, not as much anymore because I do find I have a much better grasp on my emotions. But back in the day, I was just writing it all out in my journal. It was very, very therapeutic for me. Or if you don't like writing it out, you can maybe just speak it aloud, literally get it out of your body. Or you could try to meditate and then let it go that way. True detachment doesn't distance you from love. It actually brings you closer because you're no longer tangled in trying to control everything. If you want to make this your daily practice, don't forget to download my free emotional detachment daily schedule. Click the link in the description below. And remember, you're not cold for detaching. You're not heartless. You're actually wise and you're emotionally maturing. You're brave and you're showing up in your relationship with a lot more clarity because you don't get lost in the chaos, and you're showing up with more love because you're no longer trying to pour from an empty cup, and you're showing up with more power than ever before because now you have self-governance. I'm proud of you. I'm here for you, and keep going. Let's do this together. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment if this video helped you. And if you want to see more of these videos, I'll see you in the next one, and watch this video next.